I got sent to Iceland by Iceland glacier water once.
Right,
What?
frightening. No, like,
Yeah.
are you in some sort of Icelandic mob now? Yeah.
Also, that's
Yeah.
where the foreign press is keeping all their black people. They're just like, go
Yeah,
to Iceland.
in Iceland.
Be in
In
Reykjavik.
Iceland.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Keep It, Cricket Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III. I'm a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it.
After bombshell reporting from the LA Times revealing laughably predictable ethical issues surrounding the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, including having 0 Negroes among them, and accepting lavish vacations framed as set visits, and paid huge sums to its members despite being a tax-exempt nonprofit, it seems like a good time to do a deep dive into this year's nominees and the entirety of what the Golden Globes are. They sound like a church. Nonprofit scammers, tax-exempt? Come on.
Yeah, right. Classic Catholic tactics. I do think the number one funniest thing about the HFPA, first of all, is that, I mean, they're literally members of the press. Like their whole thing is to be outward facing. Like you know, if we can agree what the press does, it's getting the word out. And yet, who are they? Like they're supposed to be nothing but a byline, basically, and yet they are shrouded in darkness still. So that's your first clue that something is amiss.
I just want to know what did Ryan Murphy give them for James Corden to be up for the prom? What do you think?
It is 85 people living in Southern California who write or at least have written for non-U.S. publications. And it's just sort of a random assortment of members who don't really seem to have any real journalistic or like critical careers, you know? Because like you said, Louis, it's like we don't know who these damn people are. So it's not like you're reading their work and knowing like what these critics even critically think of anything, you know?
Right.
It's not like the Critics' Choice Awards. And, you know, there was the revelation from the LA Times that there were 0 black journalists, and they allow their members to behave in ways that are unethical, you know? Like the Emily in Paris set visit where they just stayed in like nice hotels in Paris. And I'm like, this, of course, that show got a nomination.
Right. Well, I think in general, people are a little bit clueless about how much money just goes to promotion on a movie or a TV show in general. For example, years ago, I wrote for some website that no longer exists, barely existed to begin with, and still I could have gone to Dubai to interview the cast of The Fast and the Furious. Like Dubai, like for an interview that you watch in a video, like, do I need to be in Dubai for that? No. But they would still throw money at me, like writing for nothing.buzz, you know?
Yeah. I got an offer once to like be flown to Mexico to like interview the set of some movie. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Wow,
bizarre?
I missed the pre-pandemic journalism world I might have been invited into. I want
I
these
mean,
kickbacks.
I got sent to Iceland by Iceland glacier water once.
Right.
What?
Frightening. No. Like,
Yeah.
are you in some sort of Icelandic mob now? Yeah.
Also, that's
Yeah.
where the foreign press is keeping all their black people. They're just like, go
Yeah,
to Iceland.
in Iceland.
Be in
In
Reykjavik.
Iceland.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to say, though, okay, this article paints a necessary and disgusting portrait of this organization or whatever. I still think, though, that the TV side feels way more corrupt somehow than the movie side, even though, the Sia movie got nominated and the I Care a Lot got nominated, et cetera. I still feel like the TV nominations in general are way more bizarre. And again, you would never, ever remember that a TV actor won a Golden Globe. Like, I look back and I'm like, did John Hamm win or did, you know, it's not even coming to mind exactly. We've all placed them in so little esteem over the years.
Right. There is sort of this notion that we've always assumed or known that the Golden Globes are corrupt, right? And it's an award show, and that's just what the HFPA does. Who cares? You know, and they always make jokes about buying off the HFPA too, you know? But at a certain point, you realize that, like, the Globes are always part of the conversation of what will be nominated for the Oscars, right? Or it's always like it's a highly rated award show, so it's like movies and actors and things that people are talking about, right? So if you have a certain body that continues to just nominate the same people who, like, lavish them with gifts and other bribes, and they're mostly white people, what does that say about what's being introduced into the conversation? I think one of the grossest things they did this year was making Minari be a foreign film, just because they're speaking Korean in it.
Right. And at the Oscars, it's specifically foreign language film, which, sort of changes the discussion a little bit. But, yeah, I was just thinking about Minari. Good movie. The ending is too quaint for me. I wish they had a different ending.
Love the grass. Very pretty. That Nomadland had me thinking about nature a lot, but the actual opening of Minari, and because it's an A24 movie, you could be forgiven if you thought that it was going to be a horror movie.
Totally.
That's very
It is very much like a South Korean version of The Witch set in the 80s.
Yes. If Parasite and Hereditary came together and had a child. But I will also thank Minari for introducing another young Asian actor into our lexicon after, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar, because now we have two cute, hilarious little Asian boys who are very good at acting.
Yeah. Where's their Spy Kids?
Exactly.
They'll
say the word and that'll be rebooted in like 11 seconds.
I know, be careful.
Yeah.
You'll have to write it.
And by the way, there's already like 11 of them, so. Yeah, unfortunately, some of this, to my ears, works in the Globe's favor, because now I'm like, oh, I get to watch Tina Fey and Amy Poehler make fun of this now. And I, unfortunately, am still really excited for that, because how often do we get to see Tina Fey cracking jokes anymore? That feels like this lost era of TV to me almost. She hosted a tribute to Broadway not long ago during the pandemic, but that wasn't really her, riffing about whoever George Clooney is hobnobbing with.
Here's the thing about the Globes that I want to ask. Were all the jokes that we used to hear on like award shows like that, did you always get them? Because there's the idea that, like, I've rewatched like the Tina and Amy, the first ones, right? And it's like so many of the jokes hit more after you're like working in Hollywood, or like you've been like, like even working as like a journalist, or like a cultural critic, and like you're reading more of like the trades and like just aware of what happens in the city, right? Because a lot of the jokes, like that Catherine Bigelow one, about like being married to James Cameron.
When it comes to torture, I trust the lady who spent 3 years married to James Cameron.
Like the general public, like, you don't know James Cameron's an asshole.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know. Maybe the Catherine Bigelow is, the Hurt Locker woman, and that we still have questions.
Yeah, I think there might be just an association with the fact that someone, a director of epic movies, would necessarily be a narcissist or an asshole or something, and they're sort of banking on that perception. Yeah, I don't know how much about James Cameron in particular had gotten out by that point. Like, even as I sit here, I'm not thinking of like specific instances of him throwing chairs or whatever. I know nothing like that. But
I feel like the Globes are always fun because, it's part of, like the in-crowd, like making jokes about one another,
Yeah.
And that's the appeal of it too. Like you're peering in on a private party.
Yeah, and also I actually, I've learned some sense since, but I always enjoyed watching Ricky Gervais just maintain his position as the like crotchety, old, hateful comedian. That was always enjoyable for me.
I would have liked it more if he didn't seem above the occasion for me. A lot of the time I felt the jokes, even if they were fun, like his whole thing was, I'm not like the other celebrities. It's like, you could not be more of a conventional celebrity. Like, you're obsessed with us finding you cool.
Yeah, they usually have like a television actor or someone too, like making fun of like A-list movie actors. So that's always a benefit too.
Yes, yeah. That's a fun dynamic too. Like Sandra Oh reaching over to whomever, Julia Roberts. I like that.
Yeah. But it is interesting that like when you have someone like a Tina or an Amy, right? Because I feel like SNL is such an equalizer, or it's like, it's not like a random person in TV or film like hosting it, right? Like if you're part of the SNL cast, it's sort of like you've met a lot of these celebrities when they've hosted.
Right. Yeah, the nature of the show is you're adjacent to A-listers anyway, and A-listers don't think you're weird. You know.
Yes.
Something Lewis can't say, right? Jimmy Kimmel.
That's exactly.
Did you get to meet a lot of the guests on the show, or were you like, somewhere in a corner just here, Jimmy, hear my jokes?
No, actually. I've only ever talked to one guest on the show because I knew him personally. That was it. I don't even think of it.
Full access.
No,
to the
no.
people. Okay.
It would be so weird if we did too. I think
weird.
The way we're dressed, it's just not right. Yeah.
Miss Blanchett, hello.
Oh, my friend was a PA on Kimmel at one point, and Kate Blanchett did wink at him. What the fuck? Like, you get to die with that memory? I'm so mad. Yeah.
I absolutely love her. I mean, I think I
killer.
told the story before about when I profiled Taika Waititi for GQ and was interviewing the Thor Ragnarok cast, and you truly haven't lived until your phone rings in your studio apartment in Virgil Village, and it's, hello, Ira, it's Kate here.
Oh, God.
Spit take.
Utterly
You can't see
dignified.
me, but I'm doing a spit take.
And then being on the phone with Chris Hemsworth. Child.
And he has a very sexy voice, too. Not just a
Truly.
sexy person. Yeah.
Truly.
Ira.
Truly.
Hi.
Could
Hey,
you
Ira.
please.
It's me,
My Crocodile
Chris.
Dundees were wet.
Oh, good Lord.
End the segment.
I did watch the new Netflix film, I Care a Lot, starring Rosamund Pike this weekend.
There.
That's what I want to know is, should I care a lot? Should I now go watch this movie?
Baby, this movie, it is wild. It has actually been quite a long time since I've seen a movie that I just was so angry at in the midst of watching it.
And the whole time, too. I would say there's not a part where I'm like, oh, I'm in for right now.
Except for when Diane Wiest
Totally.
threatens Rosamund Pike.
Because, by the way, Diane Wiest in pissed off mode, underrated. I found her
Yes.
quite commanding. And also, we never get 2 Diane Wiest movies in a year. And now we have this and Let Them All Talk. The last thing she did was that goddamn movie, The Mule, where she had to deal with, that scarecrow, Clint Eastwood.
She's also one of the best parts of Let Them All Talk.
Oh, yeah, very funny, very funny.
Yeah.
Candace, very funny, too. No, so definitely, if you want to skim for the parts where Diane is salty, great. However, it is really brutal to get into the movie because it's about a woman who takes advantage of older people and basically forces them to live in elder care facilities and then she takes all of their stuff and money, and then she has a run-in with the mob because Diane has connections to the mob. And I would say both sides of this equation, Rosamund Pike, the scammer, and Peter Dinklage, the mob person, are cliches of cliches, and mixing them up is not entertaining.
So not fun to watch either of them. Peter Dinklage's character really descends into wacky mob cliche.
Yeah,
It's we've already got smoking aces.
Yeah. Oh my God. You just brought me back to when I was an RA and an honors floor, and I was like, I'll put on any movie you want for the fucking movie night, and these losers chose Smokin' Aces. I am still mad.
To haunt you?
Yeah, no, they were like
earnest interest.
They're like, Lewis, we love it. You got to put on Smokin' Aces. And I was like, I believe you. What? Meanwhile, at that time, I was like, can we watch Vera Drake? I had other ideas.
Smoking Aces and the Boondock Saints were a certain kind of movie that straight white college boys were always throwing on.
Totally. They were way too violent and way too vulgar, but that's it. That's what they liked. There's no upside to it.
Meanwhile, I was the only one over here standing Lucky Number 11.
Oh, Are You My Brother Mark? He loves that movie too. Is that Josh Hartnett?
It is.
Yes. Yeah.
He always has my heart, Nat.
Whenever I leave a workout class, I am embarrassed for being Irish and Polish. I'm the sweatiest person in the room. But when I'm leaving the room, I try to move my hair into place like I did it on purpose, and it's always going for a Josh Hartnett late 90s photo shoot look.
I will point out that, yes, it's interesting to have a character like Rosamund Pike who is, sort of morally questionable. I love villainous female characters, but this character goes beyond villainous to there's no nuance. You know, it's almost like a wannabe Nurse Ratched kind of character, but there was something so chilling about not really knowing Nurse Ratched's origins in the film, and also she wasn't the main character, right? And you know she's evil, and you're not asked to sympathize with her unless you're watching Ratched. But this, I'm just like, am I supposed to care about her because she's like, I don't know, licking this other character's box? Like, you find out she's a lesbian, and it's like, is that the rootable thing about her?
Good instinct.
It's a classic move. It's a classic move.
No, but you're right. Like, because Rosamund does the evil things with such a straight face, that's supposed to count as interesting character nuance, but all it is she's horrible. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And not even in the way that, like, Amy is horrible, but in an interesting way in Gone Girl.
Right. Well, at least at the beginning of that movie, you think one thing about her, and even if you have suspicions, what she turns into is not what you expect.
Yeah. This is, you don't learn anything about her, basically. And when she does talk about her upbringing at the end, it's like, this is lazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's written by someone named Jay Blakeson, who is just a old English man. So I don't know what we expected for these complicated female characters.
But what's interesting is if it were a man, it would be so cliched. There would be so nothing to this person. You would wonder why there was even a movie about it. I also want to add that Rosamund Pike and the roles she's playing, it's sort of like we're treating her like leftover Jessica Chastain, in that we give her smart lady roles, like she's played Marie Curie, like very like progressive women, and then also slyly evil women. And I feel like Jessica Chastain kind of does both those things. But by the way, I definitely prefer Rosamund Pike. I mean, Rosamund Pike has a kind of I don't want to say gravitas, but I do want to say weird intensity that is genuine.
I would say it's interesting that you brought up Jessica Chastain, because for Rosamund, a film like Crimson Peak is definitely a sweet spot for her that I would love to see her in.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, we need more action stuff for Rosamund. That'd be great.